Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video is going to be a brand new declutter for my channel. I've never done a brow collection and declutter video specifically, but I have gotten a few requests as I've gone through my declutter series to do this one, and I thought it would be a good idea because this is another category, kind of like eyeliners that I've done and the single eye products like the pigments and glitters, that I don't normally do this declutter on camera, which means sometimes I just keep brow products around and kind of forget about them. So I thought it would be fun to do. So basically, since it's kind of different and I don't have like a huge selection here, I'm going to be reviewing each of the products and kind of talking about my personal best and worst brow products. I'll be getting rid of some that I don't use very often, so bringing the declutter aspect in there. I'm just gonna jump into it. Today's video should hopefully be somewhat quick and painless. My favorite brow products are from Benefit. This one here is the Goof Proof. This is one of the first brow products that I felt like I was actually able to understand how to do my brows with, so I always have a soft spot for Goof Proof. If you don't know, I've definitely had a journey with brows. I never did them until I started on YouTube, and then even my first year on YouTube, I never filled in my brows, and I would get so many rude comments. I'm very confused, like, why does it have to be a thing if someone doesn't want to do their brows? Is it really necessary to comment on it? And so I went through like this back and forth journey, but I would try to do my brows because I would see other people do them on YouTube and I'd be like, I want to do that too. Like, it's kind of a transformation in sort of sense, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. And my brows truly would look worse than better when I would try to fill them in, because I'd make them like boxy, I'd make them too dark. I would do really weird things. And because I have pretty naturally full brows, I'm like, they looked better in the beginning. And it wasn't until I started trying the Goof Proof that I felt like I started to see good results. The Goof Proof, mine are not brand new, but basically they have kind of like a diamond or like a teardrop shaped tip. And so this I like to use when I'm kind of in a hurry because I feel like I need less time, less product. I can almost make them a little bit messier, or if I want a little bit of like bolder brows, I like to reach for the Goof Proof. I feel like you can just make kind of like thicker strokes with this one. So you have that on the one side, and then you do have a spoolie on the other. I do like having a spoolie. I'm a big fan of that with my brow pencils, but this is definitely one of my favorites. I've repurchased this several times. I like the shade 3, which is the one that I swatched on my hand, but also 2.5. When Benefit came out with new shades in their brow pencils, 2.5 is like my kind of like my perfect brow shade. It's not too light, it's not too dark, not too cool, it's not too warm. So that's 2.5 compared to the 3. So my perfect shade in Benefit is 2.5. 3 I can use, it's just a little bit darker. 2.5 is just like such a great match. I'm gonna be keeping my Goof Proofs, of course. And the other pencil that I really like from Benefit is the Precisely My Brow. So this is kind of similar, where you do have the spoolie on one side, which again, I'm a really big fan of, but this pencil is just a lot more of a precise tip than the Goof Proof, which is a little bit thicker. Now these are the pencils that I like. This is the style of pencil that I just prefer the most. Brows and just like all makeup, you just gotta find what works best for you. So you can see definitely compared to the Goof Proof, you're gonna get smaller, thinner. This is really good for those like hair-like strokes. I'm like, my personal favorite is the Precisely My Brow. Sometimes with the Goof Proof, like I said, I can make like a little bit of bolder brows, but that's not always the look I'm going for. So the Precisely My Brow is my number one. This is just my favorite pencil from Benefit, hands down. I've repurchased it several times. I do now get PR from Benefit, and oftentimes they will send like refills of my shades, which is fantastic, and I love that. But if they didn't, they weren't sending those to me, I would still be purchasing these because these are my most used brow products by far, and especially Precisely My Brow. So again, I have the shades 2.5 and then also 3, with 2.5 being my perfect shade, but definitely keeping the Precisely My Brow. For pencils, I have decluttered all pomades. Like, I've tried brow pomades in the past, they don't work for me. It wasn't a good thing. I've tried multiple. I've tried ABH. I've tried multiple brow pomades. I'm just not a fan of it personally. I feel like I could not get it down. I feel like pencils are just my way to go. So again, you just gotta find what works best for you. I know a lot of people really love pomades and I really tried it, but it wasn't for me. These here from Flower Beauty. These are interesting and I really want to know if any of you have tried these. But these are the Brow Vixen Tattoo Effect Stain, and I have 2 different shades. So basically it's like a marker. Like, this looks really intimidating. And this is like a little swatch of it, and I shouldn't have put that right in the middle of my hand because literally this like stains your brows. I'm gonna wipe this off because I don't want it to stain my hand. It kind of already did. But the thought behind these is when you use them, they kind of like effectively stain your brows so you don't have to then do your brows again. I was extremely nervous when I first tried these, and I tried it on camera, and it really did. It wasn't like it stayed for a week in place and whatnot, but even the next day I could notice that it just looked like my brows were filled in a little bit more. Like, I still went in and filled them in with a pencil, but it was like the residue or something stayed placed on my brows even with removing my makeup the night before. So I think that there's pros and cons to that. But for me, it was kind of scary because it's like, if you make a mistake or you don't really like how this looks, then you're kind of stuck with it for at least the next day, if not another 2 days. And with this style of applicator and the marker, like, I just wasn't the best at it. And these definitely really intimidated me. Anyone tried these from Flower Beauty? I'm very curious to know your thoughts. I think a lot of people would like this. It just, for me and my preferences, this wasn't really my style. So I'm going to declutter both of those. I have this one here from Maybelline, and this is the Total Temptation Brow Pencil. I like a lot of the products in the Total Temptation line from Maybelline. I really liked the mascara as well. It's kind of strange to me because I've gone through multiple of these brow pencils. I got the first one sent to me from Maybelline. I bought all the rest of them that I had. I just got that first one initially sent to me, and I loved this pencil. I was recommending it. I was rebuying it myself, so clearly I really enjoyed it. I bought it again recently from Ulta. It was a couple months ago, and then I had a lot of open brow products, obviously, and so I was waiting to open this one, and I finally did, but I feel like the shade is so off. So again, the Total Temptation Brow Pencil, I got 300 Blonde, which that was the shades that I had in the ones that I've tried in the past, so I thought it would work well. This is really similar to the Goof Proof, that same kind of diamond shape. For some reason, this shade just seemed so off to me, and I don't know if you'd be able to tell from the swatch that I've done my brows with this pencil. I haven't really enjoyed them, and even doing the swatches, I feel like just doing this, nothing much is really happening. I really have to push down to get product to come out, which is not what I've had to do in the past with this one either. Now, that totally could have been maybe I let it sit for too long. It wasn't opened. I mean, it was still in like the plastic whole packaging. I never even took it out, never opened the brow pencil, but perhaps I just let it sit for too long and then it just kind of went bad anyways, which I don't know. I don't know what else went wrong there. It does come with a very like smaller spoolie compared to most, which I think is fine. The size of the spoolie has never bothered me, but because I'm just not really loving it, I'm going to declutter it. This one here is from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is the Brow Wiz. I have the shade Taupe. Okay, so this one I've had like a love-hate relationship with because I've tried it in the past. I've never really loved it. I've put it in videos of like makeup everyone loves that I hate and that sort of thing, and it was confusing because I thought it would be one that I loved because kind of like the Precisely My Brow, you just have the precise tip on here, and then you do have a spoolie on the other side, but I just never really got on with it. I felt like it pulled out my brow hairs when I would use it. Like, I felt like I had to press so much on my brows and it was pulling out the hairs. I just didn't feel like my brows looked very natural. I don't know. I was not a fan of this one. So there's swatches of the shade Taupe, but I got it again. I got it recently, a few months ago or something, and I started to try it and I felt like I liked it more. I wasn't really sure what was going on, and I put it recently into my Shop My Stash bag. So that's the bag that I use of makeup that I want to try out more or just give a little bit more love to. I decided to put it in there because that's the bag that I keep like right next to my desk, so if I'm just kind of grabbing for whatever, I'll reach for the products in there. And so far I've been really liking it, so I don't know if just I don't know what changed. Again, when I was trying it, it was like years ago. Maybe I'm just more comfortable with doing my brows. Maybe something has changed. But I know a lot of people love this brow pencil. I am starting to really come around on this Brow Wiz, and it's kind of freaking me out. I don't know what to do about that. I do like the shade also. Taupe, I think, is a good shade match for me. But I am obviously, of course, going to be keeping this since it's in my Shop My Stash bag. Next up, I have this one from Fenty Beauty. I also have a neighbor outside mowing the lawn. So there's that. But this is from Fenty Beauty. This is the Brow MVP. This was sent to me from Fenty Beauty, but you have more of a precise tip. It's not quite as thin as the Precisely My Brow, but kind of along that same style. And then instead of a spoolie, they have what almost looks like a mini like paddle hair brush, which is very interesting. I didn't like hate this, but I do prefer the spoolie because I think it can help make the brows look a little bit more natural, and if I put like too much product in one place, it can kind of help brush them out, whereas this just didn't really do that. I don't know. It was interesting. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it, didn't prefer it. So I did some swatches of the dark ash blonde here. So you can see they're not as precise as the Benefit Precisely My Brow was, but this color also wasn't great for me. It wasn't a favorite of mine. I didn't absolutely hate it, but it, like if I put this in my makeup monthly, which I think I actually did, I would put this in the fine category, but especially because I don't feel like the color is the best for me, and this one almost has more of a waxy feel, I think, to it. It just doesn't make my brows look as natural as I want them to be, so I don't reach for it very often. So I am going to declutter this one from Fenty Beauty. Next up, I have this one from Joah Beauty, and this is their Precision Brow Pencil. So Joah is an affordable brand, and you can find them at, I believe it is CVS that they are exclusive to. So you have the spoolie on one side, and then kind of what the name suggests, you do have a precise brow pencil on the other. I'm finding it a little odd. I'm flipping this all the way around. I don't see a shade on it unless I've like completely lost it. Actually, here it is. It's Cool Taupe. With this one, oh, so I can't even, oh, it's apparently just done. Really? Okay, so unfortunately, I was planning to declutter this anyways because it wasn't a favorite of mine, but it is completely dried out. That is kind of strange to me. I've never seen, look, I'm like getting red because I'm trying so hard to swatch this. I don't have brow pencils usually just completely stop working like that. You can usually get something out of them. I really wasn't going to be able to recommend it anyways. It just, again, it wasn't a favorite of mine. The shade wasn't the best on it, and I felt like it was one of those that are a little bit harsh, like kind of like what I said with the Anastasia, that I felt like you could pull some brows hair out easier. That's what I thought of this one too, but especially now, you're not going to get anything out of it, so that's unfortunate. So yeah, probably wouldn't recommend that one. So I'm going to put that in my declutter pile from Joah. This one here from Colourpop, and this is their Brow Boss. It does have the spoolie, which apparently I've lost the cap to. So there's that. This shade that I have is in Blonde, and a lot of people really talked highly of this Colourpop product, and I, once again, didn't love it. So there is the swatches of Blonde. The color I thought was okay. It's a little bit darker for a blonde pencil than I think I was expecting. Sometimes blonde can pull a little bit too light. One that just, I'm gonna say it again, I hope that you're not playing a quarantine drinking game, but it just wasn't a favorite. Once again, fine, but nothing special to me and not one that I want to reach for. I'm also going to declutter this one from Colourpop. I just know that I'm not going to be reaching for it. Okay, so next up I have these from MAC Cosmetics, and these are the Shape and Shade Brow Tints. I did get these sent to me from MAC. I have the shades Taupe and Fling. They're really interesting because these have more of the like pen applicator, and when I saw this, I was extremely intimidated by this. And you have a powder on the other side. So I don't love that it doesn't have a spoolie because that's just what I reach for. And I know that this is different than a pencil, but even in the beginning when I do my brows, and I do have a recent brow tutorial on my Instagram if you're interested to see how I do it, I use one product because that's what I normally do with my brows, but I can link it in the description box. But I do like to use this spoolie first to kind of get the hairs where I want them to be, and then I fill them in. So even if I'm using this, I'll take a spoolie first, and that's my first step, and then I'll fill them in. And then a lot of times I use the spoolie again just to kind of make sure the brows are still where I want them to be. So I don't love that. And it's not that I don't like the powder, but I really just don't use the powder side. Whoa, I really just don't use the powder side. And for the pen side, that's an idea of the swatches. I actually ended up liking this product more than I thought I was going to. They sent to me from MAC and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm ever gonna try these. I saw Raw Beauty Christy do a video with them and I was like, okay, she made it look easier than I thought it was gonna be. And I actually did have a pretty good time working with these. I feel like I can get it. I do feel like it gives me more of like that Instagram brow, like my brows just look more defined, and that's not always the look I'm going for. I usually just like naturally filled in brows, but if I want like, if some, you know, I want like a little bit of oomph, a little bit of extra, these are good ones that I can reach for. And I'm also impressed that they've lasted a really good amount of time, because I was afraid that they would dry out. I have tried the Urban Decay Brow Blade and that dried out on me really fast, and I no longer have it because it was pretty much, I wasn't able to use it anymore because it dried out so fast. And I've had the MAC ones for longer and I feel like these hold in place more. So I'm still going to keep both of these and I'm just going to use them until they run out and I can't use them anymore. For the pen side, again, the powder side I really don't use, but I like the pen side. And if that's something that you like, I think that you would get on with them. And because they've lasted me a long time, I feel like I could recommend them. All right, next up I have one from the Balm, and this is the Furrowcious Brow Pencil. Okay, mine is in the shade Blonde, but I actually had the next shade up. It was like soft brown, I want to say, and that color just worked so much better for me. So I know that I'm going to declutter this one because the blonde color isn't the best for me, and this is the one that's like, it's a blonde and it's pretty light. I actually really did like this brow pencil, so those are a shade swatch of this one, and doing this one reminds me of how much I did enjoy it, and I kind of would like to repurchase it because I really did get on well with this one from the Balm. I just need that better color match. But again, you have the more precise tip on one side, the spoolie on the other, which I do like, but I really did like this one. I would recommend this if you can find a good shade, the Furrowcious from the Balm Nars, and this is their Brow Perfector, and this is in the shade Blonde Warm. Now, so you got the spoolie on one side and a more precise pencil on the other. Are some swatches of the Blonde Warm. I had another of this pencil in my last Shop My Stash bag, and I did declutter it out of my collection. So I am also going to declutter this one. They just weren't a favorite of mine. I didn't love the, again, more waxy type of formula on this one. I didn't think it made my brows look very natural, and that's what I am going for. This color also isn't the best on me. It really didn't get on with these from Nars. Not a favorite, so I am going to declutter that one. Next up here, let's see, I have this Big Daddy. This is from Karity. So this is their Brow Goals 3-in-1. So this one is kind of interesting. So you have a larger brow product on this side, again, more goof proof style with that thicker teardrop. You do have a spoolie on the other side, which I do appreciate. And then if you open up the middle, why does that keep happening to me? If you open up the middle, you also have a powder. So I like this a little bit more than the MAC because I also do have the spoolie with it. And again, I don't really use the powder side very often, but if that's something that you would like, I mean, this could be a good option. And I really do like this brow pencil as well. This is a good alternative to the Goof Proof. So there is the swatch of this one, and this is in, let me tell you, why can I not find shade names on here? It was at the bottom. This is in Totally Taupe, but I do like this one. I feel like it's a more affordable version of the Goof Proof. This is one that I do reach for, so I'm going to keep that one from Karity. Also, another good one that I enjoy is from Japonesque. This is their Kumadori Dual-Ended Brow Pencil, and this one is in the shade, really, why? A little bit frustrating because this one doesn't say it at all, but this is like light to medium. So this is kind of interesting because you have a double-ended pencil here, and they're both kind of more of the goof proof style as well, but they are different shades. So this one, like I said, is the light to medium. So you have a lighter shade on one side and the darker shade on the other. I like that you get two different shades. I think that's kind of cool since you get two different pencils in here, but I also really like this pencil. I would definitely recommend this one from Japonesque. I use it quite a bit. I often will reach for the darker side more, but sometimes I will mix and match them a little bit too, but I do like this one. I think it's another good alternative to the goof proof, and Japonesque is a little bit more affordable also. We are down to the final three. So next one, this is another one that I think is really good and it's more affordable. This is from the brand Arches and Halos by Tanya Crooks. You can find this brand at Target. This is their micro defining brow pencil. I have the shade neutral brown. This is really, really nice. Definitely a really good alternative to the Precisely My Brow, because you can see it is actually very like that micro brow pencil like it says, and I'm a big fan. I also like the shade neutral brown. I think it's a really good one. So you have the pencil on one side, the spoolie on the other. Honestly, I would highly recommend this one. I use this so often. And then I have this pencil here from Wander Beauty. This is their Frame Your Face Micro Brow Pencil in Taupe. So once again, more of a precise brow on the other, and this is the shade Taupe. I do like this one. I wouldn't consider this to be an absolute favorite of mine, so I'm kind of looking over the different pencils that I kept. I just don't reach for this one super often. It does have the spoolie on the other side. I just, again, kind of have my favorites that I go to, and I think I've kept, you know, my favorites around. So I'm going to declutter this one. And then lastly here, I have the Gimme Brow from Benefit. This is when I first started somewhat trying to do brows. This was the only thing that I would use in my brows. So you can kind of comb this through and it'll tint them a little bit. They do have different shades. This one here that I have is in shade 2. And then it's also supposed to kind of help hold the brows in place, give you a little bit more volume, like make it look like you have more brows than you actually do. I don't mind it. It's usually a product that I keep around as like in case I want to do something a little bit crazy, in case it's not necessarily like a brow gel, but if I were to be doing something that I really want to make sure, like it's super important my brows stay in place, I'll run the Gimme Brow through them. Again, it's not like a staple product of mine, but I generally will keep one around just to have one. So I'm going to keep the Gimme Brow in the shade 2. This first pile here is my keep pile. I'm keeping 11 products, and then I am decluttering 9. So obviously over here I have a couple, you know, multiples just with different shades and all of that. But I'm really happy with this because these over here are the products that I continually use and keep reaching for. And I just think that that's gonna make things a lot easier for me. So I just really am not using some of these, or some of them are just dried out or not my style. So this is my pile that I will be decluttering. So I hope that you found it helpful to hear my little reviews and like what I like and prefer if we do have the same style. That is it for this week, and next week for my declutter series, it starts off the lip category, and that is the finale, and those are going to be pretty crazy. So get ready, that's going to start next week. And other than that, if you did enjoy this one, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.